Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. This is Brian, and I am the Cycle Trainer for Starkey Hearing Technologies. If you ever need assistance with Cycle, you can definitely always call us at Starkey and ask for technical support, or you can email us at oms_support@starkey.com. And this is video 5 of a 14 video series. In our last video, we talked about creating just very simple purchases, and today we're going to talk about creating appointments. And something to note is that you cannot create a hearing aid purchase unless you have an appointment. So that's why it's really important that you have this in here. So in the previous videos, I created a patient, and his name was Al Moen. Now there's two main ways that you're going to be able to add appointments. And so I'm going to show you how to do those both. And again, one other thing to note that I mentioned in other videos is that the patient has to be created first before you can create an appointment in the system. So we created a patient, Al Moen. Just had to type in his first initial and then parts of his last name. And then in here, all you have to do is go ahead and click on, you find his name, look over to the action on the right-hand side and click on the APPT, which stands for appointment. And then now, we're going to go ahead and look at which time we want to schedule them for, and then we would just click on that. Something to note that you're going to want to do too is make sure to get a good starting point, because sometimes you might have been working on a few other things and you got on a different day. To avoid scheduling on the wrong day, I would recommend clicking on this Today button. The Today button will give you a good starting point, like, yep, this is today's date, and then you can kind of go from here. All right. And at the top, it still is saying, scheduling appointment for this patient, Al Moen. Please select a date and time. I'm going to say that we're going to schedule him for 2 o'clock today. So I just click right here. And then now it's going to open up a new appointment window. At the top, it's going to tell me patient's Al Moen. It's always going to tell you also the original referral source. How did they find out about us? And the sub referral source as well. It'll give you information about the patient's identity up at the top. And then now it's going to talk a little bit more about the appointment. So my default clinic is Minneapolis. That's the one that I chose. And so it's going to tell me exactly where it's going to be, the provider. And now you're going to select the type of appointment. Oftentimes, when people are brand new, you're going to start out with doing a hearing consultation, but it might be any of these when you're doing a different appointment. And so all these appointment types are created in the administration section of Cycle, and your administrator would have to create those. So if something is missing on here, you're going to want to talk to your office administrator. I'm going to select hearing consultation. When I select this, it'll automatically default the length that I've created in the administration. And so this says length of 45 minutes. I can change this if I want to, though. It's just the default. So if I need a little bit less time, a little bit more time, I can feel free to change that. Now, since I just created this patient, and I said that the referral source is online and the referral subsource was the Better Hearing website, this is automatically going to populate for the first 30 days. And then after that, usually it's not going to be a new referral source. But after the first time, maybe you're going to put in that it's a follow-up was the referral source, because it's not always going to be new every time. If I want to, if for whatever reason my referral source isn't in here, I can put a description in here if I do other. Now this I talked about in the other videos, that in the patient summary notes, or in the intake form, when you put notes in there, there's a date, time, and name stamp. But there's also notes that you can put on the appointment. These notes are not kept in the system forever. So this is where, if you do need to maybe warn the provider that the patient might be difficult, or things that you don't want to be in the system forever, this is where you're going to put those notes. Or maybe you can just put in notes, maybe something that the patient and the provider have in common. So patient loves dogs and cupcakes. I was just kind of speaking for myself. That's why I put that in there. But Al definitely loves that stuff too. And then you'll also note on the right-hand side, it does give you the date and time that we've selected on the other screen. It's going to default the status to being not confirmed. We're going to keep it at that. And I'm going to show you how to change that later on, because most offices, they will have you create an appointment. Then later on in the week, you're going to call the patient to make sure that they know when the appointment is and that they're going to be coming in. So you're confirming that appointment. Now, if there is insurance prior authorization, you can put that authorization number here, as well as when the authorization expires. And if you have not already put in a referring physician, you can put that in here. Okay. And there's that. This won't be used very often, but every now and again, some of our customers ask me, how do I create a recurring appointment? You can definitely do that by going to where it says recurrence. It says repeat this appointment when, every day, every week, every 2 weeks, so forth and so on. And then how many times you want to repeat that or until which date. Again, this is not used very often, but this is how you would do it. And then a really important part, though, is to put in the appointment companion. One of the things that we know with all of our studies is that people are more likely to receive hearing assistance if they have their spouse or their partner or someone else with them that's going to be directly affected by the patient's hearing loss. And so it's always good if you ask them, is someone going to be accompanying you? If they say no, ask them if it is possible for them to have someone. So it's going to say that Al's companions here. Now I put Jody Moen on his patient intake form, so it automatically populated in here for me as well. So once I've done that, with everything filled out on this page, I'm going to click on continue. It's going to bring up an appointment confirmation. This will just reiterate all the stuff that you did on the other side. Now you're really not going to be using this send mailing function very often, so don't worry about this. And also don't worry about this waiting list. This waiting list function, I wouldn't recommend using it. It just kind of is more confusing than anything else. So avoid that. But it does tell you, in case maybe you need to make a quick adjustment, maybe you need to change the date, you can change the date right over here when you're confirming. But normally you just come to this page and click on save because you've done everything else on the other page. So I'm going to click on save. And then now you'll see that the appointment is in the system. If I was just to look at it, you'll notice that there is a colored bar up here at the top. Depending upon what type of appointment type it is, that will change colors. And that's all done with the administration. And then also, there is an icon right next to the patient's name. That'll tell you whether or not the appointment has been confirmed, whether it's not confirmed. And there's a legend at the bottom, not confirmed, left message, confirmed, no show, or completed. And then if I hover over this, it also is going to give me my appointment notes, which is a great quick glance, as well as it's going to tell me who the provider is that's going to be seeing the patient. So a lot of great things just hovering over that, and then you're going to be able to see that very quickly. The other thing to note is that there's a second way to add an appointment. To do that, instead of going and searching for the patient first, you can just click on the date and time that you want. So let's say I wanted them to be in here today at 4. I can click on that time in here. And then you click on Al Moen. And then it'll jump right into the new appointment. Okay, so you can do it that way as well. So those are the 2 ways that you would add an appointment. And so you're all set with that. Now this concludes the end of video 5. And in the next video, we're going to talk about appointment status and call lists. So basically, how do I confirm an appointment, or how do I reschedule or cancel an appointment, and things of that nature. Thank you for your attention. Hope this is helpful, and I look forward to teaching you more in the future.